1,700 expected to be tallied later today.
Here's your Newsradio KONP forecast. Scattered rain showers likely this afternoon, otherwise cloudy skies. Daytime highs approaching 51, winds out of the north around 5 miles per hour. Scattered rain showers again tonight, lows dip down to about 40, cloudy skies expected. Overcast skies tomorrow, scattered rain showers likely, highs level off around 51. I'm weatherology meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently, it's 50 degrees.
It's the Todd Ortloff Show on Newsradio KONP. Now, here's Todd.
All right, welcome to the program. If you're following along on our online schedule, we've shifted things around a little bit, but actually we'll get caught up at some point on the new emergency operations center later. But we do welcome into the studio Commissioner Randy Johnson, as on the schedule. But Randy has brought along probably maybe a more timely guest in this sense, the new administrator for Clallam County, and that is Todd Milkey, and it's great to have him as well. Welcome to town, by the way.
Thank you very much.
First time we've had a chance to have him in as well. So, Randy, I'm going to just go back to you first because you were on you're the group that hired this guy to come in and take over this position. So, just your thoughts first in having this new, this person in this position now, and it's a reworked position since historically as how that was.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just give some history. But first of all, I'm excited to have Todd here. Let me start by saying that. And just to remind everyone, when I first became a commissioner, our then administrator had 18, 19 direct reports, as well as trying to keep track of the budget, doing that himself, doing everything else. And that's an impossible job. I don't care who you are to try to do that in its entirety. And, and that was Jim Jones. And so when we were looking at it, we said, we need to make some changes here, including the whole finance function. And so that's when we went to the next step, which was hiring a CFO, which absolutely helped us start to get a handle monthly on all the finances, everything else, and made a lot of sense, gave all the commissioners and the general public a lot more information. So that was kind of step one. Then COVID happened. And just before that, we're going out for a new administrator. And unfortunately, when we got to the final selection, we started doing the background check, and I just remember one of the comments that came back was the worst person I'd ever worked for by the person that worked for that. And so anyway, that went kaput relative to the selection of that individual, no doubt. And I should remind everyone, the committee included a lot of citizens from the county, and all of us made a great impression. But of course, it's important to do background checks. Yep. So, and again, then COVID hit. Rich Sill, thank goodness, stepped up. And being honest, that was really a difficult time. And Rich was also our HR director, one of the most, valuable parts of the county, and also one of the most difficult things. And Rich was really great, stalwart to hang in there, take on both duties. I think all the commissioners working many hours trying to figure out how do we keep this business open, a la Coho Ferry, whatever. Anyway, and we got at the time where COVID finally ended, and we said, we need an administrator, full-time function, think about strategic issues, take care of some of the other things, and in fairness to Rich, you can't do both jobs either. So, at the same time, it's too much to ask of anyone. So Rich moved back to the function of HR director, and we're fortunate enough to hire Todd, and I've been very excited. He can tell us all what he thinks about the county so far. So,
Todd, welcome. As I mentioned, it's good to have you in the studio. You come from over in the Spokane area, but you've had quite a background, not only in the an administrative sense, you've been an elected official as well.
I have
a different perspective.
So. Yes. So lots of experience in and around government in a variety of different positions. As you mentioned, I am a native of Spokane, and so I actually, stuck my foot into government and politics at a relatively young age, starting off as a staffer for the state Senate. So I did that for about 4 years, and then decided to run. And at the time, I had my own small excavation business, so a small business owner. I won in a race I wasn't supposed to win, heavily outspent, but was elected when I was 26. And so elected to the House of Representatives, first from the 5th District, and then with redistricting, it became the 6th District. But I served in the House of Representatives as a minority member. And then what I would say as a super minority member, which means the other side had more than 2/3, could suspend the rules at any time and basically mow you over. So you were just an obstacle on the train track, I guess. And then also was involved with campaigns at the time, and came back as the Majority Caucus Chairman in the House of Representatives, negotiating on behalf of my caucus and working public policy and negotiating with the Senate and the governor's office. So did that for a while. Unfortunately, went through a domestic reorganization and found myself resigning my seat in the legislature. And I do have a child. I've raised her since she was 5. She's now 31. So, and then basically decided to take the first job offered. And so I became the Northwest Director of State Government Affairs for Johnson & Johnson. And so my job was to represent all of their domestic companies in the Northwest states. I didn't realize until probably 3 months into it how many domestic companies they had. I got a call from a sausage company in Alaska asking me about legislation, and I was trying to connect the dots, and they said, well, we're a J&J company. And so, but 72 companies that I was supposed to look for opportunities and threats. But as a single parent, what I realized is it's very difficult when you work for a company based in New Jersey and you're summoned back to headquarters often with sometimes short notice, and there's missed connecting flights. That's tough duty for a single parent. So I said, instead of working for one company in a lot of states, maybe I should work for a lot of companies in one state. So I started my own governmental affairs business, focused in the Washington state legislature as well as state agencies. I represented primarily Fortune 100 and Fortune 50 companies. And did that, like I say, in both the legislative arena as well as the administrative arena, so rule making. And I did that for a while, and then I would say that something inside of me said I kind of miss politics. And so for a period of maybe a month and a half, I decided to run for Congress. And then intelligence set in, mostly in the name of my daughter, that said, are you sure you want to do this? And so I decided to withdraw and was recruited to run for county commissioner in Spokane. So I ran, I won. I served for nearly 12 years in that role. And at the same time I was serving the constituents of Spokane, I also became very active in the Washington State Association of Counties. So worked my way through there. I co-chaired their legislative steering committee for 9 years. And so just about every piece of legislation impacting counties went through a review of that committee, good, bad, ugly. And so I had a pretty good sense of what impacted counties, whether they were urban or rural, whether they were east or west. And that's defined differently in King County, by the way, east of the Cascades versus east of the lake. And so I think I got a pretty good handle on the role of counties in Washington State. And so did that, and then got recruited to become the CEO of the Regional Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development entity in Spokane called Greater Spokane Incorporated. I was hired as a change agent to work that organization through a strategic planning process, kind of a refocusing process as well. And then got recruited by the sheriff that I appointed as a county commissioner to come to work for him to also lead them through a strategic planning process, and I became his chief administrative officer. And so, again, did that for 3 or 4 years until he retired. And I am nowhere close to being ready to retire, age or in sentiment, and so was looking for the next adventure and wanted to kind of look for something outside of the Spokane community. I wanted to stay in Washington. I greatly appreciate our farmers and agriculture, but I did not see myself living in Moses Lake or Ritzville. And I wanted to go where there's mountains and trees, and I really didn't want to live in the I-5 corridor. So Clallam County is an amazing fit. And so that's what got my attention. And then I have a lot of other reasons why I was attracted to this area as well.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And so you've had quite a journey. And with that, though, I think brings a pretty unique skill set. Randy's over there kind of nodding his head. And that may have been a little bit of when you went through this process, why, Todd probably rose to the top as far as even amongst the finalists.
I think certainly Mark Ozias and I both because the legislative session was just like forever. And I've mentioned before, they just introduced tonight this, or they didn't include something more importantly, and we're not going to have our veteran service officer funded if we don't get that changed tomorrow. And what have we done, about, and it kept going. And I think I was really tired by the end of the session, and I know Commissioner Ozias was, and I think Mike French too, because things were changing all the time. And if you tried to stay on top of it, and if you don't stay on top of it, you wake up and you say, what did they do to me? So,
yeah. And now you have somebody that can stay plugged into that a little bit better. And someone who I think it's safe to say can navigate this a bit because you've been there, done that. You know how it works a little bit.
The people change, but typically the process is basically the same. So
as you enter this job then, and Randy talked about it, this is a restructured kind of county administrator job from what it traditionally had been here. How do you see, what your new job is here?
So first of all, I will say that I learned early in my career that no matter what position I'm in, my job description in a short abbreviated description or sentence is my job is to look for opportunities and threats for the organization I work for. I work for 3 individuals, and so my job is not only to look for the opportunities and threats to bring to these individuals about how best to serve the citizens of this county, but my job is also to evaluate what kind of response options there are, to give the pros and cons of those, and try to give a recommendation for what I believe the preferred response would be and why. So that is my job, is to serve my three bosses as well as I can, all and always in the context of what I believe will best serve the citizens of this region.
As Randy pointed out, they split up quite a bit of the duties in the administrator's office. As you look at this job now, and if you had taken that the way it had been set up, where it was the financial part and 20-some direct reports,
impossible. It's impossible. I mean, I would rather do fewer things and do them very well than do a lot of things and do none of them well. And so I think, my goal is always to be flagship in everything that we do. That we bring best practices. I really like what this county has done in stepping up in so many ways. This county brings a higher level of sophistication than counties that are larger than Clallam County. And so I greatly appreciate that. There's been a lot of, I would say, table setting with regard to how to bring Clallam County to, like I say, the optimal level and always be on the forefront. And I'm so happy that work has been done prior to me arriving.
All right. Hold on. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk a bit more with the new county administrator here in Clallam County. That is Todd Milkey. We also have County Commissioner Randy Johnson here. And we'll chat a bit more about what he sees as some of those threats and perhaps opportunities that are lurking out there, too. When we come back, stick around.
Red Carpet Car Wash in Carlsberg is always adding to the list of things they provide to keep your vehicle looking brand new. The full detail shop is just one more service to check off that list. Not only will your interior and exterior shine, your engine will sparkle too. Red Carpet is also getting some winter upgrades, including new equipment in the manual bay and new vacuums. Call Kyle today and let him get you scheduled for your red carpet treatment Tuesday through Saturday. 360-461-0826.
At Foghorn Olive Oil, we've got a lot more to offer. In addition to our olive oils and balsamic vinegars, we've added a fantastic selection of Washington State wines and beers, as well as fabulous salads, delicious paninis, and delectable dips. Join us where great flavors and good times come together. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 12 to 4, and Thursdays through Saturdays, 12 to 7. Foghorn Olive Oil and Wine Bar, where great flavors and good times come together.
Stick out your tongue and say, it's the craziest thing you ever saw. Here at Olympic Game Farm, they say howdy with a wave of a paw. Now it's hard to steer clear of the elk and the deer when they pop in to say hello. They've got lions and tigers and bears. Don't forget about the buffalo. It's impossible to stay calm. So come out with your dad and your mom. Canine and feline, you'll find us online at onlygamefarm.com.
Are you thinking about college or career training? Did you know that the FAFSA process is changing this year? United Way of Clallam County can help navigate these changes. By booking an appointment with our Student Financial Aid Liaison, you can access easy-to-digest information about how to start your student financial aid journey. This program is offered in partnership with Peninsula College. You can access services at unitedwayclallam.org/FAFSA-WASFA.
As leaves fall and temperatures drop, that means cold and flu season is here. But don't worry, the best defense is a good offense, and we have 2 ways to keep you healthy. First, regular hand washing can help keep cold and flu viruses at bay. Second, protect yourself and your loved ones by getting your flu shot. It's safe, it's effective, and it's your best bet against the flu. So, wash those hands, get a flu vaccine, and let's beat the cold and flu together. Brought to you by Olympic Medical Center.
Did you know that hot water accounts for 15 to 20% of your electric energy use? Hi, this is Clallam PUD. Let's talk about heat pump water heaters, or hybrid water heaters. A heat pump water heater uses fans and an evaporator to efficiently extract warmth from the surrounding air, saving you up to 60% on your electric water heating costs. The PUD currently has an instant rebate of up to $900 when using a participating installer, or $600 if you're installing it on your own. Plus, the federal government is offering a $2,000 tax credit. Visit ClallamPUD.net for more information.
Welcome back to another segment here as we talk with the new county administrator for Clallam County, Todd Milkey. And I guess, Randy Johnson's here as county commissioner. We should point out that Rich Sill probably held on to an interim title perhaps longer than anybody else in the history of Clallam County in a position like that.
And he was gracious to stay there. I mean, Again, we were going through if you think about Rich Sill, and unfortunately I also had a few medical problems at the same time, but in the middle of COVID and all the other
wasn't
issues
the easiest time to be doing all
terrible.
of that.
And then you had employees not working or employees that have to stay from at home, and how do we work through that? And it just continued, and now we can't staff the jail. What are we going to do here? And it just one item after another, as well as you've got issues every day. How about the food banks? How do we help them? How about all these nonprofits that are going to go out of business? How can you county commissioners, and working with Rich and the other commissioners, it was I thank God we're not going through that again, at least no time soon, I hope.
Fingers crossed and knock on wood. Todd, as you mentioned, you view your job as kind of being the outlooker, if you will, of things that might be threatening the county, and also I think some opportunities that could be out there as well. Maybe not a fair question right now, but what do you see out there as kind of the looming issues immediately, and threat, DEFCON 5 to DEFCON 1?
Certainly. So let's kind of weave in the good and the good and the bad, as opposed to just focusing on one side versus the other. So first of all, absolutely one of the most beautiful areas I've ever been in. And I'm not the only one that sees it. We have 3 million people a year that see it and want to see it every season. And so and we're fortunate enough to be able to wake up every day and see that. And so I think that's absolutely amazing that we are in this, like I say, just absolutely beautiful place to be. With that, there are some things that we recognize. We are heavily dependent on tourism. And so, in the height of tourism season, we're doing everything we can to accommodate those people coming through our region. And some of our systems are stressed, whether it's our road system or whether it's hotel and lodging systems and things like that. But that's okay. But now what we'd like to do is we'd like to spread that year round. And so, we need to be thinking about shoulder seasons and how do we spread that influx into our economy year round. I think the other thing that we take a look at is when those tourists come to town, they need people who provide them services. And so overall, I think one of the challenges having relocated here is housing. And it goes beyond so much more than affordable housing. Unfortunately, sometimes I think when we refer to affordable housing, people draw the conclusion that we're only talking about low-income housing. I would say that we have a challenge with regard to housing across the board. So to me, it's more about housing availability. I also see that part of a robust discussion about housing availability really starts with our discussion about infrastructure. The availability of water and sewer and electricity to different parts that are conducive to that growth. But then even where that exists, what was the last time it was upgraded and what's its capacity? I mean, in some cases, we have infrastructure. We have parts inside city limits that don't have the availability of that infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And then other parts that have that infrastructure available, but it's undersized. And so we're not able to either meet the demand, or it's very expensive because we have to upsize the system to be able to meet the demand. So I certainly think that is one of the challenges that I see is housing overall, and that really we got to talk about the status of our infrastructure to be able to really go after that goal. I think the other thing, this is more from a county perspective, is there's a big difference in the county revenue sources versus the cities and versus the state. The county is really a three-legged stool when it comes to revenue streams. We have property tax. Property tax is capped at 1% plus new construction. We have sales tax. Sales tax is very reliant upon the state of the economy. And I see some things coming in 2024 to watch closely. But we also have an influx of construction going on right now with state DOT projects that are helping us on sales tax. But even then, sales tax is probably growing 4 to 5% ish. And then the third stool is fees that we charge for the services the county provides. So those are the three fundamental sources of revenues for counties. Cities, in addition to those three, also have a utility tax. They have the ability to impose business taxes like a B&O tax, just like the state. And in addition to that, oftentimes cities are engaged in providing utilities, whether it be electricity, water, sewer, or garbage, and are able to use those revenue streams to apply to their administrative costs. And the state is very similar to cities. So that being said, I think the challenge for counties is you have a growth in your revenue stream that's occurring probably between 3 and 4%. But on the expenditure side, and usually these are expenditures outside of our control, that's typically growing at 7 to 8%. Mm-hmm. So it is a structural challenge that we have. And what it means is we have to do everything we can to convince the voters that we are being prudent financially, that we're tightening our belt as much as possible. And when it gets to the point that we believe that we are struggling to provide basic services, that we go back and have that dialogue with the community. So I think that's where, as we enter our budget cycle, we are doing our belt tightening. We are doing our due diligence to be fiscally prudent. I don't know how long that will last, but I would say that probably sometime in the next couple of years, we will have to have a dialogue with the community about what level of services are best and most appropriate for the citizens of the county.
And that's where, Randy, you get to get in on that part of it as well, because that's the buck stops with the commissioners, obviously.
Well, and you've heard me say it before, and what happened to us just recently, as Todd said, what are you in control of? Oh, guess what? We just had a new addition above what we'd expected, $400,000 for insurance costs. What control do we have? And we've been really monitoring everything we can do relative to any kind of litigious sort of thing happening. And you're doing what I think is performing a really good job in that area, and still here it comes, bang. And what can I do about that? And the other thing that Todd didn't mention, the state has this way of thinking about it, and it's nothing against public defense, because obviously Sixth Amendment's important, but I've said it before. So we have a $2 million bill. $1,940,000 of that's paid for by the county, and the other $60,000 is paid for by the state. We have that discussion with the state, but it's still been the same ever since I've been a commissioner. And how am I going to get that changed? So that's another issue.
That said, Todd, do you see yourself as being someone who's going to have to be in Olympia a lot? I mean, a lot of this solution, if any of it comes, is going to come from the state legislature, or has to come through there.
Correct. So I think it's a combination. I mean, number one is, do I have the ability to keep things going at the county to provide commissioners more ability to participate in the legislative process? And I think an elected to an elected, whether it's city, county elected to their state legislator, typically carries more weight. And there will be times where they won't be available, and I'll need to go down and represent this county in their stead and be able to present that testimony and present the information as it pertains to Clallam County. So I think it does give us more flexibility to be able to cover that legislative need that we need to address on behalf of the citizens of the region.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and have one more segment. We'll talk a bit more with the new county administrator. That's Todd Mielke there, and also County Commissioner Randy Johnson. And we'll wrap things up with them right after this.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP.
The 2024 KONP Home Show is back. We are now accepting vendor applications for the largest two-day marketing event on the peninsula. Put your business in the middle of thousands of potential clients. Booths start at just $450. The KONP Home Show will be Saturday and Sunday, March 9th and 10th, 2024. Sign up now for best locations and to lock in the lower rates. Call 360-457-1450 and get your space for the 39th annual KONP Home Show.
Hi, this is Kyle Lemaire with the Juan Nafuca Foundation for the Arts. Are you ready to experience the heart and soul of Americana music like never before? Enter the Black Feathers.
A miracle before. Been looking at the inside of this open door, but I've seen
The Black Feathers, a husband and wife team of passionate musicians dedicated to the roots of American music. With their soulful vocals, masterful instruments, and a blend of folk, blues, and country, the Black Feathers will transport you into the heart of authentic Americana. Join the Juan Nafuca Foundation for the Arts this Friday, November 10th at the Mood Room in downtown Port Angeles for an unforgettable performance. Get your tickets now at jffa.org. That's jffa.org. Be a part of the incredible musical journey that is the Black Feathers.
This Saturday, November 11th, is the 8th annual Novemberfest in downtown Port Angeles. Participating stores will offer specials, refreshments, and a drawing to win a share of gift cards from over 35 businesses. We'll see you downtown this Saturday for Novemberfest. Don't miss it.
The Clallam Co-op in Sequim and KONP Radio want to give you a chance to see Blake Shelton live on his Back to the Honky Tonk Tour. Blake will be at the Tacoma Dome Friday, March 15th, and Clallam Co-op is the only place you can enter to win 2 tickets to see him. 2 lucky winners will each win 2 tickets to see Blake Shelton live. But remember, the Clallam Co-op in Sequim is the only place you can enter.
Enter every day.
Drawing will be held Friday, December 1st. So enter today. The Back to the Honky Tonk Tour is presented by Kubota.
For the Washington State News Network, I'm Michael McDonald. The strike against Kaiser Permanente in Southwest Washington by imaging techs and pharmacy personnel continues. They would like a 42% pay increase over the 4-year contract. Kaiser says they have a strong offer on the table that includes significant wage increases and generous benefits. Some patient procedures are being rescheduled as a result of the continuing strike. A potential strike could be coming to Washington State University with their student employees. Bargaining has been going on for more than a year now, but issues of pay, health insurance, and the workload do remain unresolved. An unfair labor practice complaint was filed by the union against the university back in September. That is being investigated currently. A date for a potential strike, however, has not been set. Classes canceled today in several school districts in eastern Washington because of a gas leak that occurred near Colfax and Pullman. Avista Energy says the leak was discovered by crews yesterday afternoon and had disconnect service to impacted customers, including several schools in the region. School districts out for today include Lewiston, Genesee Joint, Troy, Moscow, and White Pine. And the worst state in the nation for potholes, according to USA Today, is Washington. And Spokane comes in number 6 in the U.S. for cities with the worst pothole problems. For details on these stories and others, download the WSNN mobile app or visit WashingtonStateNews.net.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast. Scattered rain showers likely this afternoon, otherwise cloudy skies. Daytime highs approaching 51, winds out of the north around 5 miles per hour. Scattered rain showers again tonight, lows dip down to about 40, cloudy skies expected. Overcast skies tomorrow, scattered rain showers likely, highs level off around 51. I'm weatherology meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently, it's 50 degrees.
And welcome back to the show. One more segment. We're going to talk with a bit more with Todd Mielke. He's the new administrator for Clallam County. He's been on the job for a few months now, but long enough that we can get him in and be on the radio, and that's a good thing. Hopefully, we'll get you back more often than not as we move forward. What's your agenda, I guess, as you get through the next few months? What's on your plate?
You bet. Right now we're up to our ears in budget in preparation for 2024. So we will wrap that up probably December 5th with the final hearing and adoption. We do have the ability to go another week, but for the most part, I think we're on track to do that December 5th. I think the next thing, a couple things that I'm looking forward to doing is really in the first quarter taking a look at a strategic planning process. I think all the commissioners have expressed an interest in really sitting down and taking a look at kind of where the county goes in the future. I think it's important to take a look at that from the short-term, medium-term, and long-term perspectives. Kind of like retirement. You don't just wake up when you turn a certain age and say, I think I'm retiring tomorrow, without a lot of groundwork being laid prior to that. And so every once in a while, I think it's important to kind of step back and evaluate, the entire operation from those perspectives. We've been extremely fortunate. I think Clallam County should pat itself on the back with regard to its general fund. It holds no debt. That's unheard of. Counties across the state always have debt tied to their general fund. This county has none. This county has done extremely well at keeping an emergency reserve set aside that always ranges between 20 and 25%. Other counties, their target is 2 months, which is closer to the 16 to 17% range. And so we are starting from a very good position, but as we look out into the future, we've got some big projects. Whether it's the the Dungeness Reservoir project, whether we've got some infrastructure projects. If we just take a look at our operation, we're operating in a building that's approaching 50 years old, longer on the old courthouse area, and it's got some major structural issues that need to be addressed. And so we're gonna have to, I guess, do a deep dive and take a look at, does it make sense to replace, rebuild, remodel those facilities in their current location, or do we need to be looking at other locations as well? Because we certainly all recognize where we live, and the threat that needs to be addressed at some point. To make sure that we have a continuity plan that works well and that can continue to serve the interests of the residents of the region. So that strategic planning process will be front and center in the first quarter. And then I think we begin to also go into labor negotiations. All of our labor contracts are up for renewal in 2024. They conclude June 30th. So we'll be spending a fair amount of time in the coming couple of months beginning to do our analysis, figuring out what other counties are doing, and see what options we have that we can take a look at pursuing.
All right. Enjoying your time here so far, though?
Very much so, except not enough time to explore so far. So, and there's a lot of that to do.
All right. Welcome to the community.
Thank you so much.
I hope we have a lot of conversations here moving forward, because it'll be very interesting to get your take on things,
you bet.
Considering some of that background you have. Randy, I'll kind of wrap it up with you to talk about, because part of this, as you alluded to at the beginning of the program, was this is a restructure, really, that has been a goal, I think, of not only you, but the whole county commission over time, was to get better functionality in how the organization gets run by having a CFO, for example, as you mentioned. Trying to get so that it's more easily handleable, for lack of a better term, maybe.
And I've said it before. I think a lot of people don't recognize a lot of the changes that we made internally. Example, he mentions labor negotiations. When I first arrived, we were doing it with an outside attorney located in Portland, and the firm, if I recall, we were spending like $400,000 a year, or a very large number anyway, with labor negotiations. We still have a great labor law firm in Seattle, but the last time I think in labor negotiations, we changed it. How do we, develop a fair process for all the employees, because employees are really important, but that fair process so that they trust the numbers you have, they can look at everything, and it's taken a while for us to get there, but we're not spending all that money with everyone's arguing about every single word, and all you do is spend a lot of money with attorneys, and when you get done, everyone's really upset. So let's not go there. Let's develop a different process. And, that didn't happen in one day either. All these changes you try to implement as you go along, and of course, that's what I always appreciate, someone new coming from outside, looking in and saying, wow, why are you doing this?
Yeah. All right. Comfortable with your hire of your employee?
Again, yeah, I'm ecstatic. So
all right.
Thank you,
Randy. Thank you for bringing him down, and appreciate we got a chance to talk with Todd Mielke, and we will be chatting with him again soon, I'm sure. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with our weekly business bit segment coming up right after this.
Red Carpet Car Wash in Carlsbad is always adding to the list of things they provide to keep your vehicle looking brand new. The full detail shop is just one more service to check off that list. Not only will your interior and exterior shine, your engine will sparkle too. Red Carpet is also getting some winter upgrades, including new equipment in the manual bay and new vacuums. Call Kyle today and let him get you scheduled for your red carpet treatment Tuesday through Saturday. 360-461-0826.
Saving on your home improvement projects is almost as important as the service you should receive. With Angelus Millwork, Angelus Rentals, and Hartnagel Building Supply, you can always depend on superior customer service. But did you know that your favorite employee-owned stores have monthly product specials, coupons, and sales? Monthly specials on products that you need now are handpicked so you can save up to 30% when you need it the most. When headed to your mailbox, look for the Valpak envelope with special coupons from all our stores. Angelus Rentals, the only full-service tool rental company in Port Angeles, features a different tool each month that is 25% off. In closing, visit angelusmillwork.com for the latest sale information. We have annual sales on power tools, paint and stain, decking, wood pellets, and more. What we're trying to drive home is there's always a promotion going on, so come see us often or find out more online at angelusmillwork.com. Angelus Millwork and Hartnagel Building Supply. Building homes, building community since 1906.
Something astounding awaits you at McCrory Carpet One in Sequim, Port Angeles, and Port Hadlock. All McCrory Carpet One showrooms have been remodeled, revamped, reorganized, and are even better and more luxurious than before. Bigger displays, more options, updated styles, colors, and trends. McCrory Carpet One is the #1 place on the peninsula for any and all of your flooring needs. Check out their beautiful new showrooms in Sequim, Port Angeles, and Port Hadlock.
The 2024 KONP Home Show is back. We are now accepting vendor applications for the largest two-day marketing event on the peninsula. Put your business in the middle of thousands of potential clients. Booths start at just $450. The KONP Home Show will be Saturday and Sunday, March 9th and 10th, 2024. Sign up now for best locations and to lock in the lower rates. Call 360-457-1450 and get your space for the 39th annual KONP Home Show.
Hi, this is Clallam PUD, and we have a few tips to help you as we approach storm season and its potential for power outages. Be prepared by checking your flashlights and purchasing extra batteries. Stock up on non-perishable food and water. Have a plan for any medical devices that require power or medications that need refrigeration. If your power does go out, first, check your breakers. If they're okay, then report the outage to us by phone or by using our Smart Hub app on your mobile device. Visit clallampud.net for updates, to view our current outage map, and for tips and resources on outage preparation and safety.
All right, welcome back to the program. Going to spend the last 15 minutes or so here with our business bits. That's where we bring in, because it's Thursday afternoon, our business guru, Kevin Holt, joining us, and going to be a little business bits news and review, I guess you thought we would touch on. I was going to read what you put on your email to me about things to disturb your lunch, but we'll just leave it at that. So welcome, Kevin, and let's dive into it.
Sadly, that will probably be self-evident. But as I had said, we'd covered quite a bit of business topics topics over the last few weeks. And while I've been prattling around about starting a tourist side hustle or art as a business or borrowing from family and friends, some really interesting business news has come up across the Business Bits news desk. Consumer stuff that'll probably ruin your lunch, but that's okay. We're going to take some time to take a look at that because it's stuff you really need to know. First of all, a criminal defense attorney by the name of Carrie Jernigan says, stay away from self-checkout. It's a shortcut to jail. Now, how could that be? Well, she says there's two groups of people that are at risk. The first group, she warned, are theft by mistake or people who forget to scan an item legitimately. This includes lapses like leaving that big package of toilet paper on the bottom of the shopping cart and forgetting about it and heading out of the store. And the problem there is that the big box stores don't really care whether or not you did it on purpose. Their asset protection people see the opportunity to make brownie points. Down the road you go. The second group is even scarier. She calls these random victims of prosecution. When a store comes up short on some big ticket items, they go back and look at the video of people who'd handled those items. And then for reasons we don't quite know, and apparently at random, they just pick people for security follow-up. And mega retailers can actually get an affidavit for a warrant for shoplifting charges just for asking.
Wow.
Because
so they could come to your house with
as
this
a matter
warrant,
of
right?
fact, there have been instances of people driving home from work being pulled over for a taillight, and the officer checks their background and
They
goes,
got a
you
warrant
got a
outstanding."
warrant for shoplifting at box store number 1. And so then you're hiring an attorney to prove your innocence. That's a position you don't want to be in. So Jernigan urged people to pay with a credit card if you buy something big, so you've got some backup. But why not just go to the cash register with a cashier?
Here's the problem, though. Find one that's got a cashier
That's the
operating, because
problem.
most of these places are just steering you through the self-checkout.
They cut it down to 1, and the line's that long, and they figure, well, you'll choose that. Well, maybe not. I do know of someone who pushed a cart out of a Costco with a case of toilet paper on the bottom. That person was met at the parking lot. Their card was confiscated, and they were banned from Costco for life.
Because they forgot to get the...
Mother in a hurry, rushing and running.
Well, and she brought more than willing to pay for it.
Humiliated. Yeah, absolutely. Just and of course, and we all living here in Port Angeles see much more egregious cases of shoplifting than that. Well, we're going to go from store security to data security. To quote that 1980s Japanese video game that had the funny English, all your data are belong to advertisers. According to the Federal Trade Commission, bulk data resellers are combining cell phone, consumer credit, and census data to create a personal portfolio about you. These firms offer products that help advertisers trace individuals' physical movements, including locations like hospitals, shelters, places of worship. Using your smartphone, they can track you for a day, for a week, for a month, or for a year, whenever they leave that little cookie on your machine. These services promise a 360-degree perspective to advertisers on individuals. The data will reveal personally identifying information like names, home addresses, phone numbers, race, gender, ethnicity, annual income, political affiliations, or religion, all based on the stuff they steal off your phone. And they're not paying you for that, but they're selling it. That doesn't really sound fair to me. And soldier, you're in the Army now, and all your data belong to the highest bidder. I think Todd saw this one on the news today. There was a big story about a firm that was researched by Duke University. They bought 45,000 military personnel records for as little as 12 cents each. And they tried to buy another $1.5 million for a penny apiece, but they didn't have the budget. They also bought the data belonging to 5,000 friends and family members of military personnel. Of course, now the researchers called on Congress to pass comprehensive privacy law to govern military personnel data purchases, but I imagine the phone companies' lobbyists took care of that.
Absolutely. Big money in that.
Big money. And not money that anybody's going to give up anytime soon. Money that probably goes into companies that, I don't know, a congressman might be invested in.
Oh, imagine that.
You think so?
You mean they actually have...
Oh, no, they're all innocent as lambs. And then in more automotive news, Maine restores ownership of your car to you. Well, isn't that nice? The voters in Maine overwhelmingly passed a ballot measure on Tuesday that gives consumers the right to repair their own cars. Now, you thought you could do that, right?
Uh-huh.
But as computer electronics in cars evolve, they've been able to create barriers to your working on your car. Just like Apple will brick your phone if you have somebody else replace the screen. So the car makers have been moving in this direction. The Maine vote was a blow to those auto manufacturers who spent millions lobbying against that legislation. And, of course, they're already fighting the Maine legislation in court. Many people have heard about John Deere, the tractor company that wasn't allowing farmers to repair their own tractors, which just sounds like about the most anti-American thing you can imagine. But that's the way these companies are all heading. And you can expect the same thing when electric cars become more common. And I'm going to talk a little bit about something that's going to make them more common in a minute. But because they have 1,000th the number of total parts as an internal combustion car, they don't really need a lot of service.
True.
So car companies are looking for ways to replace those oil changes, brake checks, and all the other things they make money off of. And the automotive press just released some information calling the electric car chassis the greatest opportunity for additional income since the cell phone. Because they see a world where they don't sell you the car, you lease the chassis, and then you subscribe.
Right. So I'm
to
going to get
all
this
of the
service and
that's
this
right.
service and everything else. Yeah.
And just like Microsoft went from selling you software to you subscribing to their software.
Right.
So again, doesn't belong to you anymore. Now, not only that, but your car just might tattle on you. Since 2014, infotainment systems in modern vehicles began downloading and storing copies of text messages and phone logs on any smartphone connected to the vehicle. Here's the funny thing. Once all that information is downloaded, the software makes it impossible for the vehicle owners to access their own data. But it's still available to law enforcement. So a recent lawsuit by the Washington State Attorney General was dismissed because a Seattle-based appellate judge ruled that the practice does not meet the threshold for illegal privacy violation under current state law. So, while our legislature's been chasing their tails on a bunch of other stuff, they kind of overlooked our privacy. Of course, they don't own any stock in any of these companies.
Oh, I get. Yeah, there's no conflict there at all.
Oh, my goodness. So, we all remember Apple AirTags hit the market as a bad thing. Criminals started using them, tracking victims and things like that. Well, the city of Washington, D.C. is planning to give residents Apple AirTags to help officers trace their stolen cars.
What that says to me is there's so many stolen cars.
They've given up.
That this is the only small chance we have.
Only way you can possibly address it. Okay. According to PC Magazine, the AirTags will be available to residents in the areas of the city with the largest increase in vehicle thefts. Residents can obtain the tags at distribution events. Officers will install the device and help residents set up the tracking tag on their mobile devices and probably the officer's mobile device as well. So another blow for privacy in the name of security.
Which then means when you're just driving your car yourself, they can still track you.
Of course. Right. So there is a salty solution to the lithium scarcity problem. This goes back to electric cars. Smartphones and electric cars are both powered by lithium-ion batteries. Unfortunately, lithium-ion batteries require scarce metals, and many sources are controlled by very hostile countries. According to The Economist magazine, an alternative has emerged. Use table salt instead.
What?
Sodium-ion batteries are entering the market now. And they offer very intriguing advantages along with being among the most common substances on Earth, so we don't have to buy that stuff from people we don't like. Batteries made with sodium have much wider voltage tolerances. I'll go all tech on you and say that a lithium battery is 3.7 volts. If you move much off of that, they burst into flames. Sodium-ion batteries can swing 2 to 3 volts in either direction with total comfort. Ew. So they can take a much deeper discharge. They can also do 100 times more charge discharge cycles and they won't catch fire when you don't treat them right. So this is very interesting.
It's all in all a better battery.
A couple of YouTube creators have brought these out, and they're building little test sets, and they're charging them up and discharging them, and they're having really good results.
I think you can recycle the salt battery a little easier too then.
Much less difficult.
Yep. Salt.
It is sodium, which is a very plentiful and less damaging chemical. Much less expensive. Now, of course, the cell phone companies are going to have a problem because they have the lithium-ion batteries programmed to crap out in a year and a half, so you have to buy a new phone because you can't replace your own battery anymore. Although there is one company that's trying to beat that, but of course they don't get any shelf space at Verizon because we don't need people like that in this business.
All right, restaurants.
Yeah, you remember those things that look like a little square of bad doodles? They call them QR codes. Well, restaurants in Australia are experimenting with digital order processes to cope with staff shortages. Sound familiar? But diners say the effort's giving them indigestion. The approach that's drawing the most angry complaints uses QR codes, the little bad doodles, to place your order. You scan it with your phone and say, okay, I want 2 of these and 1 of those, and bet I'll have those, etc. The problem is the app required to place the order charges you a 6.5% venue surcharge and a 2% payment processing fee, then demands a tip of 10, 15, or 25% before you've received your meal. Abandoning the system ain't going to happen. Restaurants claim the systems reduce costs by 25%, eliminate mistakes, reduce waste.
Yeah, they'll just make you mad because then we don't have to hire as many waitresses and waiters. There you go.
And DoorDash now, speaking of tip extortion, is sending messages to its customers who place an order without a tip. They say, hey, you sure you want to do that? It's going to be real slow if you don't give us a tip.
You may go to relegation to use what they use.
Exactly right. It says the DoorDashers get to pick and choose which orders they serve. So if you want food cold and a long wait, well, you go right ahead and do that.
Oh, gosh. All right.
So we've all been suffering from tip extortion. I think we're all getting kind of tired of it because we want to reward the people who do a good job for us.
Yep.
But we sure as heck don't want to be told to.
Yep. So, all right. We're almost out of time.
Gosh darn, that was a quick one.
Yeah, no,
probably
but
good.
Some good ones, though. That is very interesting to see what's going on out in the world of that we live in and all business related with that.
Next week, we're going to talk about prices more than money. We're going to help small businesses stuck between increased costs and customers that don't want to pay more.
Oh, that's a big deal right now.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Always great to talk to you. Thanks, Kevin. We'll see you next Thursday for Business Bits. And if you wanted to catch anything that we've talked about in the past, go to kevinyourbusinesscoach.com.
Please do.
kevinyourbusinesscoach.com. That's Kevin's place there and on the interweb.
That's it.
I like to call it. And you can get caught up, watch old videos of us doing our thing.
You can.
And
see what shirts we wear.
Yeah. Or not.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Kevin. Good
Shirtless.
to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. We'll take a break. News coming up next.
Hi, this is Kyle Lemaire with the Juan Nafuca Foundation for the Arts. Are you ready to experience the heart and soul of Americana music like never before? Enter the Black Feathers.
A miracle before. Been looking at the inside of this open door, but I've seen
The Black Feathers, a husband and wife team of passionate musicians dedicated to the roots of American music. With their soulful vocals, masterful instruments, and a blend of folk, blues, and country, the Black Feathers will transport you into the heart of authentic Americana.
Now the ghosts have eaten well.
Join the Juan Nafuca Foundation for the Arts this Friday, November 10th at the Mood Room in downtown Port Angeles for an unforgettable performance. Get your tickets now at jffa.org. That's jffa.org. Be a part of the incredible musical journey that is the Black Feathers.
Life is full of moments, including difficult and disruptive ones like a cancer diagnosis, which is why the groundbreaking work of Stand Up to Cancer is so vital. They bring together top minds from different fields to find new and better treatments so patients can thrive. Please join Stand Up to Cancer and Myrtle Beach to help families get back to where they belong, making new memories for years to come. Go to standuptocancer.org to see how you can join the mission.
Rely on us for complete news coverage. We're Newsradio KONP, Port Angeles Squim, a Radio Pacific station.
From ABC News, I'm
I'm Lindsay Davis, anchor of Prime, streaming weeknights on ABC News Live. The White House announced Israel has agreed to 4-hour daily pauses in fighting to allow for the safe passage of civilians and humanitarian aid. National Security spokesman John Kirby.
Now, we've been told by the Israelis that there will be no military operations in these areas over the duration of the pause, and that this process is starting today.
ABC's Inez de la Quatara has more from Jerusalem.
President Biden pushing the Israeli prime minister for these pauses just on Monday. In that phone call, we know the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, was here in the region also pushing for these pauses to get humanitarian aid into Gaza, to get people out of northern Gaza. But we are starting to hear from the Israelis. They're saying we are already doing this de facto. They say this is not a shift, reiterating that there would be no ceasefire.
Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia announced today that he will not be seeking a third Senate term. ABC's Stephen Portnoy has more.
Joe Manchin says instead of running for a third term in the Senate, he'll be spending his time traveling the country
to see if there is an interest in creating a movement to mobilize the middle.
It's not an explicit announcement of a run for the presidency, but for months, Manchin has refused to rule one out. This past July, he spoke at an event in New Hampshire sponsored by No Labels, the group that might seek to put a third-party candidate on the ballot next year.
President Biden traveled to Belvidere, Illinois, where he met with United Auto Workers and leaders at the reopening of a Stellantis plant following the auto strike.
You made this happen. And by the way, it's a bigger thing I think even you all realize. You're changing the face of the country economically.
The president joined striking auto workers on a picket line in September, the first for an American president. SAG-AFTRA has reached a tentative deal with studios ending the historic Hollywood strike. The deal includes salary hikes and protections for actors against artificial intelligence. The agreement goes to the SAG-AFTRA National Board tomorrow for approval. You're listening to ABC News.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
I'm Lindsay Davis. For the latest on today's headlines, be sure to watch Prime tonight, starting at 7 Eastern on ABC News Live. Now with more news, here's Michelle Franzen.
Hospitality workers have reached deals with both MGM and Caesars to avoid a strike this week. The Las Vegas Culinary Union says talks with Wynn Resorts continue, but up against a deadline. Workers will walk off the job tomorrow morning if they cannot come to a contract agreement. Investigators are calling suspicious envelopes mailed to election offices in 2 states domestic terrorism.
Envelopes with white powder in them have reportedly been arriving at election offices around Washington state and in the Atlanta area. They've come back negative for chemical or biological agents, but at least 2 have come back positive for fentanyl, one in Spokane and one in King County, Washington. The FBI is collecting the evidence, one official calling it domestic terrorism. The FBI in Atlanta says the envelopes appeared this week at election offices nationwide. Alex Stone, ABC News.
The Alabama riverboat dock worker involved in an altercation in August over a dispute about a pontoon boat space at the Riverfront Park in Montgomery has been charged with misdemeanor assault. Montgomery Municipal Court records show Damian Pickett is expected to appear at his arraignment hearing later this month. The brawl, caught on video and posted to social media, went viral. Pickett was originally identified by police as a victim in that incident. This is ABC News.
I'm Scott, the owner of Solid Fire Pits. When I began welding my custom-made fire pits for friends and family, I shared them on TikTok because I was just so proud of them. Check it out. That's beautiful. I posted every new fire pit design and more people kept ordering, from 26 states and counting. Then on my birthday, I had my best sales ever. Now how can the universe beat that?
Solid Fire Pits is just one of the 5 million U.S. businesses that rely on TikTok every day. TikTok sparks business.
Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
KONP News brought to you by McCrory Carpet One. Always priced right, always done right. McCrory Carpet One. More than 400 earthquakes have been detected under Washington's Mount St. Helens in recent months. No signs, though, of an imminent eruption, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. Most of the quakes over that 3-month span, beginning in mid-July, were less than magnitude 1, couldn't be felt at the surface. But they are signs that the volcano is recharging with magma. From late August to early September, scientists observed 40 to 50 earthquakes a week. That number has fallen to about 30 since then. Since 2008, the volcano's averaged about 11 earthquakes per month.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast. Scattered rain showers likely this afternoon, otherwise cloudy skies. Daytime highs approaching 51, winds out of the north around 5 miles per hour. Scattered rain showers again tonight, lows dip down to about 40, cloudy skies expected. Overcast skies tomorrow, scattered rain showers likely, highs level off around 51. I'm weatherology meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently, it's 50 degrees.
Of Ramsey Solutions.